Hello, hello, hello. It's your girl Erica, and welcome to my YouTube page. Happy Monday. I hope all is well. Thanks for tuning in. I am here to do my weekly recap of Married to Medicine. Of course, this is season 11, episode 12, and it was entitled The Calm Before the Storm. Now, guys, there was so much going on in this episode. It was very intense. There was a lot of drama. There were so many questions that were unanswered, and then also that it just left us a lot of room for a lot of conversation. So I hope that you can just be patient with me and really just walk through this episode with me. I am a new YouTuber. I don't have a huge following, so I know that oftentimes, when you're not really familiar with that actual YouTuber, it's very difficult to kind of sit through them and kind of just let them talk and sort of ramble on or get all of their thoughts out. But I'm just hoping that you would just be patient with me because I am like a big analytical person and I really want to go through everything. So let's get started. I hope you can just hang in there with me. If you're cooking, let it play. If you're working, let it play. If you're driving, just listen to my voice and just let me know if you agree with me and, let me know what you think about it. So let's get started. Of course, the show opens up with the fight. We were seeing last week we saw the clash of Dr. G and King. And this particular week, the episode opens up where King is actually charging at Greg. We know that Greg said, kind of got smart with King last week. If we just go back just a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit, King wanted to speak with Greg once again because he was concerned that Greg said something very disrespectful to Quad. And King said, I'm going to let it slide. I think we should just move forward. Of course, Greg challenged him and said, hey, if Quad's going to speak to me a certain way, I'm not going to back away and not say things to her. And that just got everything started. So here we are where, Greg and King are going at each other. Everyone is running down the beach. You see Quad running down after King, you see T running down after Greg, and you see you can hear Cecil and I think Eugene were trying to break things up, and then also you actually see the new guy Steve taking off running down the beach trying to help as much as he can. So again, of course everything is broken up, no one fights, luckily King did not connect, with his punch or whatever, or his swing or whatever the case may be. Everyone is in such a disarray. Everyone's in total shock that it actually happened this way. And rightfully so, because of course there was tension in the group, but I don't think anyone had the idea that it would get to the point where there would almost be a physical altercation or a physical fight. Well, luckily, like I said, nothing happened, but it could have. If Shaq was not in the middle of King and G, I can definitely assure you that Dr. G probably would have gotten hit, because the way King actually sort of charged at him, he definitely would have gotten hit. But Shaq was right there in the middle of them to kind of stop everything. So shout out to Shaq for that. Of course, Sweet Tea was really crying. She was really upset. Dr. Mimi grabbed her and hugged her. And then Contessa went over and sort of prayed for her. We saw where Phaedra got really emotional. She was actually speaking in tongues. It was just a really bad situation. The ladies were sort of confused as to what was going on. We did hear Simone make a comment and saying, she really didn't get why Phaedra was actually doing that, because of the simple fact Phaedra does not have a good relationship with Shireen and Apollo. Well, I was kind of shocked that Simone said that, because your heart and how you feel about a person or what you feel in that moment really has nothing to do with something that you deal with on a daily basis, and then you've also dealt with something for years. So for Simone to kind of say that, I was kind of like, okay, well, Simone just really, really, really doesn't like Phaedra at this point, because anything that Phaedra does is kind of like a mark against her. So I was kind of shocked that Simone made that comment. As viewers, we all know what it was with Phaedra and Apollo, and even Shireen in season 9. That whole situation, that whole scenario played out on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. We are all viewers. None of us really know exactly what happened except for Phaedra and Apollo and Shireen, but we can kind of speculate just from us watching as to what really happened with them. And so even with Simone saying what she said and trying to make like a little sarcastic remark, I'm thinking to myself, Simone, if you watch The Real Housewives of Atlanta or you know anything about the situation, you know that it wasn't a great situation with Apollo, with him going to jail, you know, even with Shireen sort of being the side chick or being the other woman, and Apollo cheating with Shireen while Phaedra was pregnant. So Simone kind of lost some cool points with me right there as far as that's concerned, because I was kind of thinking she went a little too overboard with that comment, but we'll move on from there. So Dr. G and Sweet Tea, they're walking down the beach. They're deciding that they're going to just leave. I think everything, they're overwhelmed and everything has just become too much for them. And I think that was a good idea, because at that point, everyone just needed to go their separate ways and kind of, you know, just do their own thing. And one thing I wanted to make a good point or a side note is that Dr. G told T in that moment, he said that he told her that he put T in a bad situation. And I have my notes here, guys, and I had to write notes because there was so much going on. I can kind of remember off the top of my head exactly what happened, but then there are some things and some little side notes that I wrote down that I definitely want to bring up, because in that moment, as they were walking down the beach and they had decided to make the decision to leave, or they had chosen to leave, Dr. G said, oh, you know, he told T, hey, I put you in a bad situation. Well, he's going to sing another tune toward the end of this episode, but we'll get there. So, of course, now the group is divided. And as they get back on the boat to go back to the resort, you know, Heavenly is sitting next to Dr. Contessa. And Dr. Contessa, she sincerely asked Heavenly, you know, what is your issue with T? You seem to really just have an issue with her. And Dr. Heavenly stepped out and said that T is very volatile. Well, that's very rich of Heavenly to say, when Heavenly is always the one that's yelling and screaming and going off. Listen, what we have to understand is this. Heavenly has operated at that level for a long time. I'm sure Heavenly grew up like that. What we see on that show is probably what Heavenly did in her normal daily life. Heavenly can yell, scream, go off, you know, and she's okay. She can go here and stay there. And then when she comes down, it's almost like she snaps out of it really quick and she goes back to being normal. Well, some people are not used to that kind of rage, and so when you get them going and you're yelling at them or they're arguing with you and they get into a disagreement with you, they get upset and it pushes them to go to another level. Heavenly is always at 100. T can go to 100 and even to 1000, but T doesn't start out that way. So I was kind of like confused when Heavenly said that T is very volatile, because I think Heavenly, you sort of egg people on in this group, and you've done it for years. It's not just with T. You've done it for years. You egg people on and you get people to this place of just anger and rage. And then when they go there, you flip the script and then you say it's them, when in actuality, you know, it's really you. You know, we've seen in movies before where someone will do something extremely crazy and they can murder someone, or they could do something and hurt someone, and they sort of snap out of it as if they didn't do anything and they go back to being normal. And that's what we see Heavenly doing all the time. She gets into these arguments, she gets into these spats and all these disagreements, and she butts heads with everyone. She will butt heads with them, and then she'll go back to being normal as if nothing happened. So I kind of did not agree with Heavenly when she said that. You know, Heavenly operates just at that level of confusion and chaos, and she's comfortable there. Anyone who goes there with her, they're going to get out of pocket, because 9 times out of 10, that's not what they normally do. And That's just what it is. But we'll go on. Like I said, again, this is not a heavenly bashing session. I am giving my opinion of how I think Heavenly reacts and how I think some of the ladies react in certain situations. So we go on. I really felt like King felt bad. King himself even said that he wanted to leave. He wanted to just, for sort of throw away the night. And luckily Eugene was right there to kind of talk him down and to tell him, look, everything will be cool, just kind of chill out tonight, let things be, and we'll go from there. And so we know that, when cool heads prevail, oftentimes, the situation will sort of come back to normal, or, you can kind of move on and just really continue to enjoy yourself. So I'm glad that Dr. Eugene said that. So the next day, we see Apollo and Shireen. They come to, I guess, Dr. Heavenly's room, and Simone is there, and they're having a conversation with Apollo and Shireen about Phaedra. Well, that's also an issue for me, because why are you talking to Apollo? Why is anything that Apollo says credible? Like I said in my last review, Apollo went to jail for fraud. And you're sitting up here talking to Apollo and allowing Apollo to tell you about his ex-wife. Since when does a real since when do real women actually do that? When did it come to a place that it's cool for you to sit with Apollo and his wife Shireen to talk about Phaedra? You're really showing that you don't like Phaedra, and you're really showing Heavenly and Simone that you're reaching to the gutter. And I'm really surprised at Simone, because if you look at all of my reviews, even from the first one, I said Dr. Simone was one of my favorites. Dr. Simone was that girl that she was a doctor, an OBGYN, very successful. She had the credentials, has done extremely well in her life. But I like Simone because she didn't take herself too seriously. She wasn't one of those, really uppity, really sort of bougie women that did not seem approachable or did not seem real. Dr. Simone always seemed to be very down to earth, and I really, really like that about her. And it seems like she's taken an extreme offense to Phaedra saying that, referring to them as these type of bees. And, Dr. Simone seems like she's in a place where she has to prove that, yes, I'm a boss, BI, I'm this, I'm that. But Simone, your name, Dr. Simone Whitmore, is very well known in Atlanta and abroad. You have the credentials behind your name. You are a medical doctor. You're very successful. Like, why would it matter what someone like Phaedra said, a person who's new to the group? So it's kind of, I'm going to get into that, but it's kind of letting me see exactly how these women are. When maybe they're a little intimidated or somewhat, they're so used to being at the cream of the crop and at the top of the chain that they cannot really deal with other successful women, because other than that, I don't get it. But anyway, they had this conversation with Apollo, and of course Apollo was sort of giving them the rundown on Phaedra's character and how she does things. Again, oftentimes when I do these reviews and I'm talking, I'm looking at it how I would look at it in my normal daily life. Okay. My life, like I said, even if I'm not super close with a person, I just would not go there and really involve a family member, or talk to someone else, or maybe even someone, like I said, that I know that this particular person has an issue with. I would not do that. We know that it was done for ratings. We know that, of course, Apollo does not mind being on TV, and he agreed to be there. But it does seem that Heavenly and even Simone are starting to orchestrate these things in this group that often set the other people up for failure and to make them look bad. And I really don't like that, because last year, Simone and Heavenly almost fell out once again. because the group, and of course we all know now the truth, production set it up for the group to go to Hilton Head. Heavenly made a big deal about the fact that that is where Curtis took his mistress during the time that he cheated on Jackie. He took his mistress to Hilton Head, and Heavenly, had the entire, social media platform of Twitter and everything else going up in a blaze. Everyone was angry with Simone because they felt like Dr. Simone was not being a good friend to Jackie by choosing to have this group to go to Hilton Head. Okay, fast forward to now. Now we're watching Heavenly have a conversation with Apollo. No other woman was bored that they were just going to Hilton Head. They were going to the location, and they even rented. They had an Airbnb. They had a home that was rented out. So we don't know what hotel chain Curtis stayed in when he was with his mistress or whatever the case may be. But Dr. Heavenly had a whole conniption last year about this. And now you're sitting there talking to Apollo, like I said, whose credibility is shot. Apollo went to jail for fraud. Whether you like Phaedra or not, this man is going to try and destroy Phaedra every possible way he can. What would make you want to have a conversation with Apollo knowing that he's been in jail for fraud, and now you want to take his word as the gospel, and whatever he says is just great and is gold to you? Like, come on. Like, I was like, ladies, okay, you're really showing how petty you are and how much you really hate Phaedra. And the good thing is that, yeah, you guys wanted Phaedra to come on this show. You thought it would bring more eyeballs to your show, and now because Phaedra didn't give you what you wanted, and also she made you feel like you were less than her in her own way, now you want to destroy her. Like, I'm just not with that. So I do have a problem with that. It's not, like I said, it's not about me being some big Phaedra Parks fan. It has nothing to do with that. I'm looking at it that right is right and wrong is wrong. And to me, inviting Apollo on this trip was wrong. And then to sit down and have a conversation with him about anything else is like doubly wrong. Like, you doubled down on it. You were already wrong for inviting him, and then you're going to sit down and have a conversation with him and let him rip her to shreds. Not a good look. These are definitely not girls. And if you guys are angry because Phaedra called you mean girls, you're actually looking like mean girls at this point. So we're going to let that go, but that's what happened. So Phaedra decided to leave. And of course, Jackie went to her room and Phaedra was kind of explaining everything. Phaedra even told Jackie, I expected a little more from you. Whether she meant that or not, it didn't matter. We know that Phaedra had been upset with these ladies for the past couple of days with Apollo coming. Phaedra, I will say Phaedra made a mistake in not saying that she really didn't want Apollo there. Phaedra knew that when Heavenly mentioned it to her that Apollo was probably already on the way. He had already signed the consent forms to actually come. So Phaedra kind of, did her own thing. She said, okay, I see what these ladies are doing. I'll invite Shaq and all will be well. She really didn't expect for it to go down the way it went down, either with Apollo and Shireen. And even if she did, the point of the matter is that Phaedra thought she would have her moment with Apollo. I think Phaedra really was probably more or less trying to sort of go head to head with Heavenly. I don't think Phaedra had any of the other ladies on her radar, and that's the truth. I could be wrong. If you think I'm wrong, please let me know and tell me in the comments like, hey, Erica, I didn't agree with that. But I really don't think that Phaedra was going after the other women. I really think that it was more or less about Heavenly because she knew that Heavenly had invited Apollo and Shireen. So when she was talking to Jackie kind of played it off. The only thing Jackie could say was that, Phaedra, we were told that you knew that Apollo was coming. Jackie was right about that. But again, Jackie's not being 100% honest. Phaedra is not one of her favorite people. We saw that when they were actually doing the Met Gala, and we heard some of the things that Dr. Jackie was saying. So we know that Phaedra is just not one of Dr. Jackie's favorite people, but she wasn't honest with her enough to say, hey, there have been some things going on. How do you really feel? She never really talked to her. She allowed Phaedra to just say, you guys are mean girls. And Phaedra said in her confessional that they don't allow new women to come into the group and flourish. They really don't try to get to know the new girls, and they just make it bad for any new person that comes in. And although, like I said, Phaedra didn't give us a whole lot, she didn't add a whole lot to the show, I do agree with Phaedra. These ladies on Married to Medicine have a hazing process that they go through. Every single time there's a new girl, Heavenly is big sister number one. She hazes the girls. And then oftentimes, like I said, Simone is probably like the second in command to do it. Jackie sort of stays in the background. Jackie may not like that person at all, but she's not going to make too much of a fuss about it. Toya can go either way. Toya may not particularly care for them, but Toya is not blatant, or she's not putting it on Front Street that she doesn't care for the person. And Quad can kind of go either way too. Quad really doesn't act that way. But Heavenly, and now I'm seeing Dr. Simone, they are pretty much like the ones that really kind of do the hazing. And it's not a good look. Like I said, because you guys wanted Phaedra on your show. You thought it would work out. You thought, even though you knew she wasn't into this whole Reiki thing, she wasn't really dating a doctor. You knew all of that. But again, because you were more concerned about the ratings, you welcomed her with open arms. And now that it didn't work out, you want to kick her back out. And so, like I said, there's some things that need to change with Married to Medicine, because Married to Medicine is such a phenomenal show. But if it continues to go at the rate it's going, it will not last much longer, because these women are going to end up hating each other, and something bad will happen where it will be almost to the point where they cannot come back from it. So they need to kind of figure things out. So anyway, we'll move on. So the men and the women, they hang out separately the next day. Not much. The women went to a distillery and they were drinking again. And then the men, they went to a cigar bar and they were hanging out, and they were kind of just talking about what happened. And not much was being said that we don't already know. I think the group is just divided, because half of the group, they don't care about T and Gregory and Phaedra being gone. The other half, they do kind of feel like, hey, we need to kind of check on them, and we need to kind of like reel them back in, or pull them in, at least make them feel like it wasn't done on purpose. I know Curtis said something. Excuse me. I know Scott said that it had never gone that way. I could tell that Dr. Eugene felt bad. Even King, you can tell King did not want it to go that way. Of course, he was going to defend Quad 100%, but you can tell that he wasn't sort of, kind of reveling in the moment and making it seem as if this is what he wanted more than anything. You could tell that. So again, they were just hanging out. Mimi and Steve, like I told you in my last review, I've said it a couple of times, they are seeing who's who. They don't like what's going on. They have a lot to say. Even Steve said, he told Cecil and Eugene, he said, I don't like a lot of confusion and commotion. He said, but I will try to be a peacemaker. I am like a mediator. And Steve has already shown that he is that. And Mimi is the same way. Mimi does not like what has happened, but Mimi is taking mental notes in her head of everything and every woman and every little thing that's being said and done by each and every single woman who is there. So, of course, they had their final, they kind of had their little, last event for the vacation. And it turned out to be like a lemon squeeze. They were asked to wear yellow because of, yellow is a color of friendship. And so they were talking while they were on their way. I think Contessa Scott and it might have been Mimi and Steve. They were in the car, and they were talking to Dr. G and Sweet Tea. Well, Greg is still upset about everything that's happened. You can tell he was still kind of like on edge. And then they sort of went into Greg and T at home, and they were sitting down talking. They were just having a conversation. Of course, T asked him about how he felt about everything. And he was saying that he was upset. And T was saying, she was genuinely giving her opinion. Number one, T was sort of joking around and saying that, she could handle King because she was in the military. I really don't even think that T was saying it in an offensive way. I think she was more or less joking around, but she was just saying like, okay, I'm military trained. We're trained to fight men and women. And of course, Dr. G made the sad mistake, and I don't even want to say it's a mistake because it's really how he feels, but he wanted to say like, what can you do? You're a woman. Well, it's evident that Greg feels that way, and he didn't mind embarrassing T with that. And he went on to say, and so she said, well, Greg, I really don't think that it would have turned out that bad. I really don't think that anything would have happened. I don't even think that King was going to go that far. She really genuinely felt that way. You could tell that she was trying to diffuse the situation. Of course, she's on her husband's side, but she was trying to diffuse the situation, and she was trying to sort of let Greg know in this moment, you can let it go because I really don't think it's that bad. Well, Greg was upset, and he told her, you're so naive. You're so naive. Why is she naive? She's naive because she's not agreeing with you in this moment. If she's naive, you married her that way. T is not changing or has not changed. You've been married to her for over a year at this point. And so now all of a sudden, she's just super naive in the blink of like an instant or a minute. Like, Greg, T, and how she feels about you. But at the same time, it's okay for her to have her own opinion. So he storms upstairs. So she goes upstairs behind him. And that's one of the things that T will have to learn. She will have to learn to back away and let Greg have his space, because when she invades his space, and I know sometimes as women, we want to fix things, but when she invades his space, it allows him to mistreat her. And I don't like that. And when they were behind closed doors, the one thing that it irked me and it hurt me at the same time was when he said, all of this is your fault. So he went from saying, when they were with Phaedra and they were walking on the beach in front of the cameras, I put you in this bad predicament. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I did this. When they get behind closed doors, he tells T, this is all your fault. How is all of this your fault? She met you, came onto a show that she had never been on ever in her life. She agreed to come back to the show and do the show with you, although it really centers around the women. But she's relying on you to sort of guide her through this. And you say it's her fault. T has been mistreated so much in this group, and I think we really need to talk about it. I know a lot of you people have all these different names for her. A lot of people just can't stand T, but let's be clear. We're talking about if this were your real life. We have watched this girl be mistreated from day one. She couldn't say the right things. She could never do the right things. They talk about her being ugly and unattractive. They talk about her body. They talk about the fact that she doesn't have any money. She's been called stupid and dumb. They don't like her fashions. They talk about how country she is. They have never embraced this girl. And T has had to try to walk around, be herself, while she really is being told that she's really not good enough being herself. Now, if she was trying to be like the rest of the women, everyone would have a problem with that. She's so young, she doesn't have her own identity, but she's trying to be herself, and you're still criticizing everything that she did. Why would you bring a girl onto the show, or why would you think it was a good idea for this woman and Greg to come back to this show that Quad was already on? and you did it just to mistreat her. I think that is horrible, and I am angry with the ladies of this group, because if you were going to do that, you should have found something else to talk about for season 10. You should not have ever brought her back if the only thing that you could find to do was make Letitia the butt of your jokes. How dare you? How insulting. What kind of women are you that is what you would do to that girl? And I am not, trust and believe, I am 48 years old. I have no problems with it. So I'm kind of like in the middle. I'm more closer to Toya's age. And I can see Toya. I can even see Quad there, because believe it or not, Quad has been one of the nicest people to T. Quad kind of falls into a little rut with Heavenly sometimes as she says things, but Quad has really been very kind and nice and accepting of T. But Quad and Toya are sort of in the middle. You have the sort of older women, and then you have T. And then you have Toya and Quad who are in the middle. And they can see things from both ways. And I am that person too. I'm 48. I can see things both ways. I can see some of the things that the ladies say. And sometimes I do want T to sort of not respond to everything. But again, T is younger than them, and that's what younger people do. And I've been in this situation even on my job, just being a middle-aged woman. You have older women who can't stand younger women sometimes. They want the younger women to make all the mistakes and fall flat on their faces. They won't help them. But the younger women don't realize that they're at a place in life where they have to pick and choose their battles, so they react, and it makes them look bad. And that's exactly what has happened. T has not learned how to pick and choose her battles. Heavenly and the rest of those ladies are setting her up for failure. T sees it, but she does not know how to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to beat you at your own game. Sometimes I'm going to be silent. Sometimes I have to be smarter. Sometimes I have to do things differently. She has not learned that yet. And so I see what's going on, and I really don't like it. Again, changes have to be made on this show. Heavenly, you're going to have to give us some personal story. Simone, you're going to have to do the same thing. Dr. Jackie, you definitely need to give us some personal story, because we cannot continue to bring in a different woman every season and think we're going to expose her and mistreat her, and then like a banana peel just throw her away when we don't need her anymore. We have to do things differently if this show is going to continue to maintain its success. Really and truly is going to have to happen. And I want to say, like, Quad, I'm sure Quadria Webb, Quad will probably never see my videos. I can never say never, but she probably won't. Even when they were talking about it, this is the question that came up. Should exes, the question, I want to give you the correct question. The question was, should exes be invited to the group, or should exes be involved in the group? And most people said no. Dr. Mimi, who is a psychiatrist, said especially not when the people aren't healed. Dr. Mimi actually broke it down perfectly. And she was good at what she said. And I said that in a couple of videos ago. I said Dr. G and Quad both need healing. They really need healing. They have not moved on. It's not about them being together. A lot happened, and there's really a lot of hurt and pain and anger and bitterness there, especially on Greg's part. Just even the way that Greg is acting, you can see it. And so this is not a good group for Greg and T to be a part of if Quad and King are going to be there. And Heavenly apologized to Quad. She said, Quad, I have to apologize to you because I didn't look at it that way. But now I see that with everything that has transpired, it wasn't good. And like I said, I wish that Quad could see this video, because I want to tell Quad, keep your good eye on Heavenly. Let me tell you something. I've said this in just about every video that I've ever made. And this is nothing against Heavenly. Heavenly is a thinker. Heavenly is going to keep this train rolling for Married to Medicine by any means necessary, people. Any means. Heavenly is constantly thinking. Heavenly is probably laying in her bed at night thinking of what she can do and what storylines she can conjure up and who she can take down just to keep this going. Am I saying it's the worst thing in the world? No, but it's not necessarily the best thing. Quad, Heavenly was the one who orchestrated pretty much this whole thing of your ex coming back. When she apologized to you, even at the beginning of the season, I said it in my first video. She did it because she wanted to make the other ladies look bad. She wanted to make Simone and Toya look like the petty ones out of the group, and she wanted to make it look like her and Dr. Jackie were angels because they recognized that they did something wrong. It is not true, and I'm almost 100% sure of it in my gut. Heavenly is a thinker. Heavenly had already thought about what she needed to say to you to make you feel better. Heavenly knows how to stroke Quad's ego, and Quad needs that. So Heavenly says all the right things to make it seem like she is Quad's friend. Quad, Heavenly is really not your friend. When it comes to this show and friendship, Heavenly is going to choose this show. And if they're not careful, like I said, it's going to be catastrophic between these ladies because Heavenly's going to choose the show. It was never a good idea for Dr. G and Sweet Tea to come on, but Heavenly spearheaded the entire thing to get her back, to get them on the show. She said it was done because she wanted to make sure that Quad had a job and she wanted to make sure that Quad was still a part of the group. But again, it turned out to be disastrous. Luckily, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. So like I said again, this is not a Heavenly bashing session. Heavenly has been on the show since season 2. I've been watching from the absolute beginning. Heavenly has been hilarious. Heavenly has done some wild, crazy things that made all of us laugh. But at season 11 and hopefully going into season 12, I have said it before and I will say it again. Heavenly is going a little too far now. And I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know who's coming back or who's coming back and who's not coming back for season 12. But again, if everyone comes back other than Phaedra, because we know that Phaedra's not coming back, something else needs to be done. And it can't be at the expense of a new person. And it can't be at the expense of, like I said, something that could turn someone's life completely upside down. So that was and I'm just going through my notes. That was actually the episode. And that's how it ended. I hope that like I said, of course, these past few episodes, they have been great. They've been drama filled. They've given us a lot to talk about. You know, we have been like on the edge of our seats trying to figure out, oh my God, what's getting ready to happen next. But at the same time, too, we still probably have a few more episodes to go. And like I said, I can't really see this entire group. I can't see them moving forward. And I'm going to stick to it. Quad. Boo, open up your eyes. You know, yeah. Dr. Simone is your real friend. I know you guys have butted heads, but Dr. Simone, you and Dr. Simone could really work it out. Dr. Jackie really does like you too, Quad. Heavenly likes you too, but Heavenly's just using you to, you know, sort of help her to kind of move things along on the show. Toya is always very honest in how she feels, and that's good. Not sure how Contessa will fit in. Not sure if T will fit in. I do believe maybe they'll have Mimi back, and I don't think that Mimi is going to be quiet in any way when they come back. The men are always good. They always work their things out, and they really don't even have any drama. So kudos to Married to Medicine and their production team, because the last few episodes have been extremely good. But the drama, we can't stay at that level. We're going to have to do something else, people. So let me know what you think. I hope this video wasn't too heavy for you. I really hope it wasn't. And I wasn't trying to even make it that way. I wanted to make it fun. But I wanted us to really get to the meat of the matter, because there was so much that happened in this episode. And like I said, it goes to who you are as a person. How would you really handle that if it were you? How would you really deal with it if someone brought your ex around? How would you handle it in a situation like that? Maybe you've been in a situation where you were the ex and you had to be around, your significant other or your ex, and it was very uncomfortable. Like, let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel about it. Please like and subscribe the video. And also, like I said, comment below. Like I said, now I'm starting to get some comments, and I really appreciate it, because I do like to interact with people online. Hopefully it's nothing like disrespectful, because like I said, I'm not doing these videos or these reviews to be disrespectful to anyone, not even the women on this show. I'm not doing it I'm just giving my opinion, and that's it. These women are rich. They're doing amazingly well. I salute them. I celebrate them. I watch them faithfully because I really enjoy them. And so I'm not saying anything, like I said, to be disrespectful to them, but I'm just giving my opinion. Like the girls, but I think we have to do something different. So let me know what you think. Hopefully, like I said, this video wasn't too long for you. Hopefully you do take something from it. Hopefully I said something that will intrigue you or make you look at things differently. And maybe you can say something to me, or, and comment and let me know, hey, Erica, well, maybe it's like this, or you're thinking about it this way, but it could potentially be another way. And I would greatly appreciate that. So stay tuned for more. I'm not going to stop reviewing the show, and I'm going to do some other things. But right now, I'm enjoying doing my favorite show, Married to Medicine. So hang in there with me, guys. I appreciate your support. Thank you for your views. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Bye. Thank you.